welcome to Tom's Guitar Show, everybody. I'm Tom. They call me Guitar Tom because I'm often seen with the guitar, and they call me on the phone. They say, "Hey, man, what's your show about anyway?" And I say, "Well, it's about an hour, about guitars, guitar players, guitar playing, all things guitaristic." So occasionally you may see a number flash across your screen. You can call, and if you want to ask a question about the care and feeding of your guitar, or buying a guitar, what kind of guitar is right for you, how to play the guitar, any kind of guitar-related thing like the guitarrón, the sitar, the guitarra, lutes, uds, vihuelas, banjos, balalaicas, bazookas, bajos, sextos, chitoles, tiples, mandolins, banjolins, mandoras, mandolas, mandocellos. I want to talk about, I don't know, like ukuleles, or, cavaquinhos, tres, or cuatros, dulcimers, tumbeks, timbales or timpanis, violins on television, harmoniums, harpsichords, harmonicas, pipe organs, piccolos, trombones, trombomarinas, tubas, piccolos, pianofortes, forte pianos. I don't know, man. Sackbuts, cromb horns, quartholts, clarinets, clavinets, bassoons, euphoniums, xylophones. You want to talk about Jews harps, or pixie harps, or Irish harps, or Scottish harps. I could go on like this I should just get the music dictionary out and read it. Or politics, world events, your own personality problems. That's fine. We're here for you, but keep it clean. This is a family program.
And here I was going to bring up sax and violins.
Yeah, sax and violins. Yeah. Sax and violins on television. Were you watching the Boston Pops?
No,
I started. Anyway, welcome back to town, everybody who's been gone all summer. I guess school started up again and life's resumed. I'm back up there at Coe College again, trying to round in all those students, trying to get everything together there, up there in Cedar Rapids. And so I will confess, though, that I've acquired another guitar, this one right here. It's I was going to send it back. I get this sort of weird buyer's remorse thing. This is actually electric nylon string guitar. It's a La Patrie, which is one of the Godin companies, which I guess is called La Si Do, which is ABC, because La Si Do, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, or Si, Do. So that's ABC. It was also known as Guitar à Bec at one time, because it's from Quebec. They're Quebecois, French Canadians. I've actually talked to a lot of people who don't know that most Canadians speak English. They think they all speak French. But it's just a small, Quebec is a large province, but fairly large, geographically, but not that many people live there.
Once when I was in service, we were in the same port with a Canadian ship, and some of the guys off that ship said, "Oh, all the Americans expect them all to speak French, and most of them don't."
Right. Yeah,
And it seems funny when they call us Americans, since Canada's in America, but...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're live. Want me to sign something? Yeah, sure. I can do it, yeah. We're just talking about Quebec, where this guitar came from. Okay. Sign the papers?
Yes, please, sir.
Just the one?
Yeah, that's the only one over 1,000.
Yeah. Shall I sign the top or the bottom? Which would you prefer?
Oh, heck, I hadn't thought of it.
Yeah.
What's most convenient for you?
It doesn't matter. I'll sign the top one. All right.
All right.
There you go.
Thanks.
Scribble on it. Okay. That was our fearless leader. Anyway, okay. Yeah. So most Canadians don't, they're forced to speak some French because everything has to be bilingual because of the French minority.
And all the canned goods and box goods and everything has two labels up there.
Yeah.
An English label and a French label.
Vraiment. So I don't know. I'm surprised by people who think that, because most Canadians speak English, and they, like the Mackenzie brothers. Just ask a Canadian to say out and about. And of course, that's only one regional accent.
Yeah, that's kind of Eastern Canada
where
where they're Oot and a boot.
Yeah, so So anyway, one time years ago, I'm reminiscing. I should just play guitar, but so I ran into. I was out doing the mariachi thing with my buddy Raimundo. Back we were Raimundo y Tomas, and he made me an honorary Mexican because I'm not Mexican at all, as far as I know. But we would go table to table in Mexican restaurants, and we met these two women, and they wanted to see the sights of the city, Cedar Rapids. They were from Vancouver, British Columbia. And
Wouldn't that be smell the smells of Cedar Rapids?
basically, yeah, it wasn't all that exciting for you if you're from Vancouver, you know. And they've been around. They were in Europe earlier. They're filmmakers, documentary filmmakers, and so we took them to Eddie Picard's jazz lounge, you know, and we lounged there for a while. And I kind of befriended the one, and he befriended the other. So when I was sort of, you know, kind of with, I mean, it never amounted to anything. We were just, you know, gentlemen, basically. But her name was Teresa. And so I called her Thérèse, because my parents were both French teachers, and so the whole thing is like, I just had this, because once you take a language class, they give you your name in that language, you know. So I called her Thérèse. And she didn't like that because she's from Vancouver, and at that time the Québécois were trying to get everybody in Canada to learn French, because if they had to learn some English, by golly, everybody's going to learn. And they're, of course, Vancouver is like thousands of miles away on the west coast, you know, and Quebec is east, you know. I mean, it's not that far from our New England. I mean, you know, as far as the longitude, you know, right? And that's the up and down. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so I said the wrong thing. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Sorry, I'm reminiscing, but anyway. But this is from the French part of Canada. This is from La Patrie, which is a town, and La Patrie means the homeland, and you know, Patrie like fatherland. The fatherland. Oh, that's a German thing. Okay. But anyway, it's electric classical guitar. Solid cedar top, solid mahogany sides and back. Painted shiny black. And I have one that does the same thing. It's blonde. I thought it was made in Spain. It turned out to be made in China. But now I have this one, too. So I'm well supplied. If one fails, that's why it's always good to have two dogs, in case one can't fulfill the duties of like lying under your chair.
On the other hand, a man with one clock knows what time it is, a man with two clocks doesn't.
Yeah, there's doubt, unless they agree.
Yeah.
Well, I got this little loop. I'm going to make a loop here because I can. Spider going down right there. try. So I was fooling around with some chords there. First chord, of course, is oh, that's how I tune. I give a tuning fork out. That was an A minor, add 9. Unless I did like this, which goes, it's an A minor 9. If I put that G in there, it's an A minor 9. Otherwise, it's an A minor add 9. Because everybody knows. Sorry, it's impolite to talk with your mouth full of tuning fork, but everybody knows that a 9 chord, be it minor 9 or just a 9, has a dominant 7 in it. Unless it's a major 9, in which case it's a major 7, and then the 9 tacked onto it. If you don't have a 7 in there, major or dominant, you have, but you put a 9 in, it's called an add 9. You've added a 9 to a chord. But anyway, so let's just say the first chord was an A minor 9. And then, so I was putting doing like a, sorry, I'm having a little trouble here. Anybody who's actually watching has actually flipped the channel by now. They're going to watch that rerun of Seinfeld for the 50th time.
I've had several people tell us they see us when the commercials come on the other channels and they get channel surfing.
Yeah. But you never know.
But there are no commercials here, so you don't have to surf away from us.
We should probably make every second of this show count so that people who watch it for 3 seconds actually get something out of it. It's going to be hard to do, though.
Either that or we could have a TV in here turned on to one of the commercial stations, and when we see the commercials come on, then we could be really good.
That's right, yeah.
For about 3 minutes, then they could go back to...
Then we go back to whatever else we do. Anyway, so I was saying, though, so I had these 2 chords that, I mean, I changed chords later, but I was going between these 2, which would be an A minor 9. Sounds like that, you know. I guess you could play it like this if you want. But that's kind of same chord. But this one sounds more like an emergency than this one. Anyway, so A minor 9 to E minor add 9, or I could do E minor 9 if I want, but I just made E minor add 9. So, okay, so I got these 2 chords going, got 1, and then, but one note I want to focus on is like an F sharp, which doesn't belong in either chord. So the F sharp is a 6 in the A minor, in the A minor context, it's a 6, which means you've gone one past the the 5th. So I got this, and then the E minor. It's a 9. So it's a 6 and 1, it's a 9 in the other one. So somehow, so if I do that, I'm just making a little quick loop. So I have, the 1 chord here, like a, and then, okay. Now, a dramatic note to put in there is like an F sharp. You want to resolve. Hear that all the time. There's a song, what's it, Losing My Religion? What's that? Who does Losing My Religion?
I don't know that one.
Losing my religion. But then, oh, come on, I know. I can't remember the name of the band. I never had any of their records, but I heard that song. They do a lot of that. Doing an F sharp, or doing that interval. Yeah. So the first chord, it'll be the 6 of it, and the next chord will be the 9 of it. You see, instead of being something like a 3 or a 5 or an octave, It's one of those in-between ones, you know? Makes you kind of cool. Makes you want to resolve it. Anticipation. You know what I'm saying? Like you set up. This is one of the things that happened in, they call Western Common Practice music, like in the 1600s they started developing, because before that music was a certain way, you know, kind of maybe kind of boxy. Early music sounds great. It's interesting. It's different like stuff. And of course we have, you know, elements that they figured out a long time ago in our music. But then what they did was they set up, you know, tension and release. So, you know, if you go into a concert hall, you know, you hear something, like, you know, like right now, you don't care whether you hear an F sharp or not. See, I've been doing this F sharp, but let me try a different context. Bob, I'm going to make you want to hear an F sharp.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, here we go. So I'm going to do it like this. Oh, sorry.
Boy, I can't wait for an F sharp.
Huh? Come on, man, give it to me, please. Ah, thank you.
What a relief.
Yeah. Well, I heard that when I was a little kid, you know, my grandpa, who died when I was about 6 or 7 years old, actually. But he was I had the two grandfathers, and one was in Wisconsin and one was in New York, upstate New York. And so in Wisconsin, we saw it much more often. And he was a jolly fellow and a really nice guy. And actually, I have a lot in common. Apparently, like parts of my face look a lot like his. And also have the hazel eyes are like green and brown mixed, you know, instead of everybody else in my family's got brown eyes and same height. But anyway, so I heard it a lot from him. But anyway, he was a nice guy and everything like that. So, but he would explain certain things to me when I was a little kid, you know, like waiting for the other shoe to drop. To tell me a story about somebody who was in a hotel and the guy, you know, sitting on the bed. You could hear the guy above him takes off his shoe, clunk, and then the other one doesn't come down, and he's can't sleep all night because he's waiting for that other shoe to drop. I thought, this is like folksy wisdom I learned from my grandpa was born like 1898, you know, so he different generation obviously. So I've been meditating on that since I was 5 or 6 or whenever he told me that. So I waited for that other shoe to drop. It's that anticipation thing. So we set that up in music a lot, you know, like. As a suspended chord, I'm violating the third. See, so when I do a 9, what I'm doing is I'm overshooting the octave note because everybody knows there's 8 notes, and then they start over again. You've got the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, so or C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. There's or A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There's no H unless you're a German, in which case I believe it's B flat, isn't it? Yeah.
That's how come you can do Bach's name in music.
Yeah, because it's a B flat and the H. Yeah. But that's why they do it, huh? You got B, A, B, A, C, H. Anyway, that's people couldn't hear that at home. I would say that in the German music they have an H, which is a B, what we call a B flat, and that's why you can spell out Bach, B-A-C-H. But of course he was a German. Anyway, what am I getting at? I'm talking about anticipation. You violate something, like a 5 is a big one. The tritone, you violate the 5th, you flat it. So I can go like see, here's the 5th, or see, that's a really pure, But what if I violate it, flat it? Right. What if I sharp it? It's like, I mean, you want me to do something with it. So if I do something like So that's, there's an E minor. It's a B7 chord, and a C, and a B7, and an E minor. Okay, so if I take a B, so I do a B flat, and do a B sharp, B flat, sharp. On a B, it's the root of the chord, but I go down a half step. I have what they call a leading tone. It's kind of sexy. On that chord, D sharp is one below the root of the E minor chord. See, it's a half step of the root chord, the chord. Anyway, this is what I do for fun.
You know what we haven't done?
What?
We haven't told people where they can see you live and in person.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm going to mention that. This week, I'll be at the Tuscan Moon on Friday night.
In Kelowna.
In Kelowna. Beautiful downtown Kelowna, right next to the bakery. Tuscan Moon, Bistro or whatever, steakhouse, and on 5th. Right there. Just go to Kelowna. I go Highway 22, and then where it says Business District, I turn down there, and then I find myself. You look at the vine-covered, doorway into the patio. My advice is get reservations. It's packed these days. I will not be there on Saturday, however, because they're having their car show. And I think last year, the Candy Apple Red 59 Chevy Impala won. So that's kind of what they have. They have a disc jockey who plays greatest hits of the 50s and 60s.
So if people would rather look at hot rods and listen to a disc jockey, they should come Saturday, but to see you, they should come Friday.
Right. And you can still have dinner there on Saturday. You just can hear really loud records of Buddy Holly and stuff. And, of course, a lot of songs about cars and stuff, Beach Boys, whatever.
Talking about my generation.
Yeah, that's right. And so anyway, it'll be a 50s and 60s bash. A lot of the cars, there'll be some Model T Ford there and everything like that, but there are a lot of shiny cars from the 50s, usually in early 60s. But anyway, so that's what's going on Saturday. I won't be there. I played in Solon at the Big Grove Brewery weekend before last when I was exiled because they were having a My Kelowna Days, so they're having like rock and blues bands in the street, and it's very, very loud. So I played there. This week I was... Let's see if I can play up at Big Grove again, but it's a football night, and so since they're a brewery, Hawkeyes, it's only 8 miles north of town, Solon,
Right.
And so they say, you don't want me to be, I wouldn't want to be there on a football night, because it's a brewery, and football and beer go together. So I think I'm actually going to, I could have done this thing in Oklahoma. I could drive to Oklahoma that weekend. And
I'd have to pay pretty good.
yeah, well, it's a long story, and I think I'm not going to go. You know, I have a chance to do something interesting down there, actually for free. I would not get paid, but it would be an interesting thing. And I'm going to think about it a little longer because it's a long trek, and I'd have to pay for my gas, and I'd pretty much have to get me I have to get a motel because I don't, you know.
Don't sleep on the ground anymore?
Well, I don't sleep in the car that much anymore, you know, unless I could help it. In 2005, I had 3 concerts that I played, all of which were for free, but they made me slightly more famous and could sort of compete with other musicians.
Yeah.
I did these 3 festivals, and all 3 of them, of course, I slept in the car on the way there. One was Colorado, one was Connecticut, and the one in Indianapolis was, you know, that's just it's kind of, Indianapolis is fairly far, actually. You got to go. But not as far as Connecticut or Colorado. Right. And so and also the one in Colorado, I had to leave at night because the way my schedule was, I had to leave at like 9 o'clock at night. And then I sort of passed out somewhere in Nebraska before I turned south into Colorado. So that wasn't, it wasn't a Neon. That was a long time ago. I put the seat back, doesn't go back all the way, and you got that little thing, you know, where you put your stuff in the column there, and it's taking in your elbow. And so I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. So I'm not going, I don't think. I think I'm going to actually take my wife out to dinner on a Saturday night for the first time in years. And I know I'll spend money, but there could be, you know, put toward guitars, but, you know.
But a lot less than a road trip to Oklahoma.
That's right, that's right. So anyway, and then Sunday I'll be at Journey Church, I suppose. I think it's like, did have to be at the Tuscan Moon and the Journey Church deal. You know, they're going to have an a cappella, a singing kind of instructor or somebody go there and do this like a singing thing. So I don't have to be there, you know, because I do their music for them.
Right.
And I'm basically hired help, and I'm not religious myself, but I help out on Sundays, you know, and they give me some allowance, you know, for my personal habits. Isn't this nice? Huh? Anyway, anyway, so, but I could conceivably take that day off, you know, and then I have that show that I did down by the fountain downtown.
Oh, yeah.
So I had this idea weeks ago that what I would do would be I'd go to Oklahoma, and then I'd play in a coffee house in Kansas City or something on the way back and do all this stuff, you know, little tour, because I could take Saturday night off at the Moon. They don't need me. Sunday morning off at the Journey Church because they wouldn't need me. Reschedule my Monday students, play a tape of Tom's Guitar Show, and of the concert by the fountain thing, the pop-up musician deal or whatever it was. And then I wouldn't have to be anywhere till have to teach a at 11 o'clock Wednesday morning. See, that was my thought. But now I'm thinking, maybe I'll just take Laura out to dinner. I'll go to the Journey Church anyway, and you know, help out with my maybe folk guitar, and then I'll do a regular Tom's Guitar Show next week. So that's a long-winded. Nobody cares, but yeah, I won't be at the Moon on Saturday. Is what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
But people can see shiny cars and listen to a disc jockey at the Moon on Saturday.
Yeah, they can.
And they can see you there Friday.
That's right. They're going to block off the street and fill it with, have diagonally parked shiny cars. I've been there before. But you can see me on Friday. My advice is get a reservation tomorrow if you want to be there on Friday. And people have been having a great time. I hope the weather's good and everything. You know, if it's not raining or it's not too hot, it's wonderful out there. You know, right now. They got the little lights, you know, and
if people had come last week, they could have seen your whole herd of classical guitar pickers upstairs at the Uptown Bill's Coffee House.
That's right.
Where we play the last week of every month.
That's right. And I'm going to try to work on the sound a little bit. I think the thing about the long cable going through the floor, it wasn't necessarily that good. I'm going to revamp the sound, but those classical guitarists, and I would say if you want to get a hold of me about being in the classical guitar ensemble, if you were a trained classical guitarist, I mean, if you could read music, and you have a nylon string guitar and you can read music along those lines.
Or if you can play classical guitar on a ukulele.
That's right. Well, if you can do that, and very few people can, but Donna can. And I found a piece that was written for classical guitar and ukulele. written out, but the ukulele is written in the classical guitar form.
Yeah.
So I found a piece, actually, quite difficult piece, that I, on Free Scores. So the price is right, and the freescores.com. But anyway, but yeah, Donna played Für Elise, and then she's also joined the classical guitar group, playing the baritone ukulele, which is a 4-string classical guitar, basically. But this is a classical guitar, it's electric, but it has nylon strings, a wide neck, and there's a specific way you read the music for it. It's written out on the staff, but there's some differences in the way it's edited for guitar, like the directions, the stems, and the notes point. Because it's polyphonic, you have bass, and you have chords in the middle, and then you have melody on the top. So you have the stems pointing different directions and some things to differentiate. Because on the piano, you have 2 staves, treble and bass. Guitar is all treble clef, but anyway, but to keep things separated, they have some different things that they write. But it's the same staff anybody uses, like on the clarinet or the flute or whatever. But because you have maybe 3 or 4 voices going on at once in classical guitar, you have to do some things, and so it requires training to do. A lot of guitar players that play other styles would not be able to function in this guitar group. But anybody who's like a educated classical guitarist, and not necessarily that advanced, because the parts can be quite simple in some places. Guitar, and then we had Matthew, 2, I guess they're probably 9 years old now, playing, and then of course we had Grace and Anna, and Anna's like 15 now. She's going to be pretty near grown up. And then we had other people too, of course, who were all grown up. But what I'm saying is that if you want to be in a classical guitar ensemble, I have this stuff that I've been downloading, this music for guitar ensemble. We have trio stuff that we've been doing, and we're going to try to get like a regular rehearsal once a month at the library, perhaps, at one of those meeting rooms at the library, get everybody together. And ideally, I'd like to do like orchestral music, but, the one I really want to do is Vivaldi Mandolin Concerto, and have mandolin player play the mandolin part, another mandolin player play the first violin part, guitars play the second violin, viola, and cello parts, and then a string bass play the bass part, and then there's a harpsichord part that has chords in it. I thought, well, put a ukulele in there, playing the chords, Then we'd have the whole orchestra, but in frets and plucky, because it's usually, first, second violin, viola, cello, and harpsichord is what it's written for. But we'll just,
No bows.
Yeah, no bows, just all plucky stuff, So I think it would sound great. And, I have a soloist picked out and everything, but it's going to be a while before we're ready to play anything that complicated. I also have more interesting things like the Bach-Brandenburg concertos. I've handed out to the small group that I have now the slow movement from Beethoven's 7th Symphony, which is really cool, kind of spooky sounding tune. But I have it for guitar trio, and somebody transcribed it for it. So anyway, these are my ambitions. So if anybody has a classical guitar background, wants to join, just contact PATV and send me your number or email or something like that. Or you can go to allthingsguitartom.com. You'll find the studio at allthingsguitartom.com, or Tom at allthingsguitartom.com, the website. But if nothing else, you go to PATV and leave a message. It'll get to me. And if you are in the orchestra, guitar orchestra, inevitably you will be on PATV. We'll have a part of Tom's Guitar Show. But this guitar is interesting. I have another one that does the same thing. I actually had 2. Years ago, I had 2 electric nylon string guitars. They had very shallow bodies. This one has a more standard sized body. It actually sounds okay when it's not plugged in. But I had these other 2, and both of them malfunctioned in a way. I had them both. I had one for maybe 14 years or so, maybe 15 years before it started giving me trouble. developed a hum in the electronics. And it was from Brazil. It's a Giannini from Brazil. And it's been in the shop for years. The guy hadn't figured it out, so he's got it on the back burner or whatever like that. So I was thinking about trying to get it back, maybe installing a different pickup, but anyway, it's a long story. And then the other one's the Gypsy Kings Cordoba, which is like a $2,300 guitar. But the neck was lightly built, and the neck gave away. And it came forward, so it's no longer plays in tune because the strings are too high off the fingerboard. And to add insult to injury, it was there on a guitar stand, languishing, because the guy said he couldn't fix it. And it's possible he could take it all apart and, put the neck on a different way, but it'd be very expensive, and he didn't think it would sound the same, and issues like that. So it was sitting there on a guitar stand, and then this guitar rack that I have on the wall, screwed in the wall, the slat board gave way, and a bunch of very heavy electric guitars fell on that. So it's all bashed up, and you can't see it's in the back, but it's bashed in. And I wrote some I did some very sad tweets about that guitar, because it was my main gig guitar for 10 years. I mean, I played it, I had it out playing publicly at least like 3 times a week for 10 years, and it gave up. So since then, I've been playing the Godin solid body electric nylon string guitars, which are cool. They're great. They do a good job, and I really appreciate them. And they sure are good outdoors on a humid day. But then I got a wild hair to get a hold of this blonde Cordoba GK Pro, Gypsy Kings Pro, which I thought was made in Spain, turned out to be made in China. But it's a really nice guitar. I've had it in the show a couple times. I've only had it since like the very beginning of this summer. But took out to pay that one off. But at the same time, I give the guitar shop money, to pay off things. And I have been paying ahead on this DBZ Maverick guitar, which is an electric guitar, like a hot rod rock and roll guitar I want to use for my kind of fusion thing that I do. But it's been back ordered like since May. So I've been giving this guy, money on Mondays. I paid off all my little debts, and then so I was way ahead on my, I was hundreds of dollars in, And so a little over a couple weeks ago, I said, well, just order me one of these. Can you get one? I said, I can have it in a week. And 8 days later, it showed up. So after that classical guitar show we did last week, I went to the guitar shop to talk to the repair guy who always works on Tuesdays, or usually works on Tuesdays, before it closed, like 10 minutes before the store closed, something like that. And he was actually playing this guitar. He had just come in. And it's brand new. The fumes from the glue are just making me dizzy here, because it's brand new. And so I picked it up. And I've done some fooling around with it. I've changed the strings and stuff, and there seems to be some problem with the microphone that's built in. But this is just the pickup, and it actually sounds pretty good through this Fishman Loudbox amp. So so now I have two. I have a blonde and a shiny black one, and they're different. They're the same thing. They're electric classical guitars with a cutaway and a pickup and a microphone built in. So you just plug them in. So anyway, that's a long way around, but so I've had this one for a week. I say 45 minutes after the show goes off the air, we can say that it will have come into my possession exactly 1 week. And I've played a gig with it, and it's pretty good. There's a lot of bass. A lot of times these acoustic electric guitars don't have much bass. And that's why you have the microphone in it. Yeah. But the microphone causes problems because, it's a very resonant box, so it feeds back. It also hears everything that's going on around it. I've tried recording my gigs, and, that I play live. Yeah. And I end up hearing, in the quiet moments of the music, I hear people talking because I'm playing in a restaurant or something. So, it picks up everything. Yeah. So this way, actually, I don't know if I want the microphone. I mean, I'd like to get it fixed, but but it sounds pretty good.
Yeah. If it's there, it might as well work.
That's right. Since it's there, I paid for it. But usually the microphone makes it so you can hear the bass part, because that's usually what's the piezo pickup that's in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's usually what you lose. But somehow, that's a lot of bass.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is La Patrie. It's made in Canada, Quebec. Solid wood, solid cedar top, and mahogany sides and back. My other guitar has a solid alpine spruce top and Spanish cypress sides and back, so it's very blonde. And the woods that a guitar are made out of, it makes a huge difference in the sound, the tone. And they're perfectly wonderful woods. I mean, the difference between, say, having a sides and back made of rosewood, mahogany, or maple, and there are huge differences. And they're also like fruit woods people use. I mean, this company, they make some guitars with cherry sides and back, cherry wood. And cherry, actually, when one guy was telling me he builds guitars that fruit woods make really good sides and back, like cherry. Most apple splits too easily. But anyway, then you get your nut trees, and of course you got your coniferous trees, and those make good tone woods, so the tops are usually cedar, spruce, or redwood in some cases. Anyway, so I just acquired another guitar. I will confess to something else, though. I have recently acquired two extremely inexpensive guitars. Several weeks ago, I got a Fender Squier Stratocaster, a gold one, for $80 used at West Music. And then I got a Telecaster, a Bullet, made in Indonesia at the Guitar Center in Cedar Rapids for $80 new on some August blowout sale. So I almost brought those here. And I was thinking about restringing another one that I got for $99 years ago. But they have a less than $100 guitar show, and to promote the cheap things, because I like cheap stuff.
Well, maybe that'll encourage someone young to get into music.
That's right. And then when I was up at the Guitar Center getting that $80 guitar, I got a $19 amp. It was a used Fender Bullet or whatever, or Frontman 15 or it's a little practice amp that they give with the guitar pack. You buy everything in a box. You get a little amp, a guitar, and a bag, and a tuner, and a pick, all for a certain price. Yeah. But the newer ones I can't really get a very good tone out of. But I've played through these, like the older model, like, 5 or 10 years old. Yeah. And you can get a good sound out of them. They don't have any reverb or anything on them. You can actually, but I have pedals and things. So they had one. It was a little dirty. It was there for $19. So I happen to have a $100 bill and a few ones for tax, and so I bought a electric guitar and an amp for $100, and then had to go through my $1 bills, tips, for tax. And actually, I got them home. They actually don't sound half bad. I kind of like the Telecaster, $80, Indonesian, Fender Bullet Telecaster. It's a real Telecaster is going to cost you over $1,000, and it would be a better guitar. But this one is it's kind of nice, and well, you know how I am.
Yeah. Well, like you say, guitar acquisition syndrome.
That's right, gas. Terrible thing. I've suffered from it for years, but I haven't admitted I'm confessing this on television, but I haven't admitted it at home, but I know my wife never watches this show, so.
Of course, it might be a commercial on another show and she's channel surfing.
She doesn't watch TV. Years ago when we got married, I had to get rid of the TV. She didn't want it in the house. I put it out in the street, and it was gone in 5 minutes. Yeah. It worked, but it was the old-fashioned TV. It didn't have the digital thing. It didn't have the box or anything with it. So I have acquired a flat screen TV.
One of the kind you had to walk over to the TV to change the channel?
I had a remote, but
did
it wasn't digital, and it wasn't flat. It was a great big
Yeah.
picture tube, cathode ray or whatever. But I have actually since acquired a TV set. It's not actually hooked up to anything right now. I don't have an antenna for it, and I've been using it. I've actually put a lot of sheet music on a thumb drive, and then I plug it into the little notebook computer, and then plug that into the TV, and then I've got a music,
Right.
huge music. So, for instance, we sit in a room, we have a whole bunch of people in the room, and you can look over there and have this music over there. We got like one,
Yeah.
huge sheet of music in front of everybody, and that's kind of interesting. And I did actually watch that show Northern Exposure. I watched that from YouTube on my TV.
Oh, through the computer on your TV.
Yeah. But then it doesn't have any speakers in this TV monitor. It's just a monitor. So I have actually a monitor, an amp that has a really good headphone input.
Right.
And I've listened to my iPod through. It's huge. It's like and so I thought, well, I just plug that in, and then I can have through my little notebook computer, I can have TV if I want with big sound. But haven't done it. I got this TV really cheap, Kmart on sale, an LCD TV. And then I hooked it up, got the right adapter and everything, finally got it working. So I could use it as a music stand, or I could watch movies if I wanted to. And then I promptly abandoned it. Sitting there on a cart, just become part of the piles of equipment that I have. Maybe I should watch Tom's Guitar Show or something. Back next week. You believe it's September?
Yep.
I can't believe it, but I mean it's still summer, but school started. Have to get out of my long sleeve shirts here pretty soon.
Yeah.
But don't I have the right to bear arms? Sorry.
In the summertime.
Yeah.